Accept your death.
So you may or may not have noticed that this is episode 51. Now, if you're bad at maths, that's perfectly fine, and you're in good company here, because I had to use a calculator before I came on the show here. But that means that since we've been doing this, every Sunday, that next week will be the 1-year anniversary of the Bonehawk podcast, the official Bonehawk podcast. That is crazy that we've, like, a 1-year streak. There was only 1 week where Blue Saved the Day came in clutch, for good reason, of course, that we almost missed it, but we've been steady. What do you think, Hater? What a ride! One year of this show, and people tune in every week. Still getting lots of views, lots of comments.
2025 is the year that Dink learns that there's 52 weeks in a year. It's crazy.
Better late than never, you know.
Hey, no. Yeah, that was one of the things that you said when you first asked me to kind of like do this, or we were like kind of like workshopping the idea and then just finally started doing it, is that like above everything else, you wanted something that was going to be consistent, something that you could do regularly. And that's probably how I ended up in the co-host position, right? You know, people feel whatever way about me, you know, or whatever, but
we see the
I'm
comments.
the guy that's free, you know, consistently.
You know,
so
we laugh about this all the time, because like I definitely have made my hot takes, and Hater's always the oh, reel it in, you know. we work good that way, I think, together. So, and yeah, it's been a crazy ride, and we haven't always recorded at the same time every week, but we make sure that there's always a podcast on Sundays. So we appreciate everyone who's been here and supporting. We have some fun things planned for next week's episode, so look forward to that. But as always,
oh yeah,
I look forward to the comments. Oh, that was an easy one.
That was a good one.
That was easy. But sometimes you got to take the low hanging fruit, you know.
Hey, less is more. That's what I always say.
Less is more. 100%. You do say that. You've said that a lot about a lot of things.
It's kind of a personal mantra.
I like it.
I'm an overthinker, right? I have to remind myself of that a lot.
Like great things are happening. I knew a guy once that was his thing. He wake up in the morning and he look at himself in the mirror and say, "Great things are happening."
Oh wow!
He was one of the most unluckiest people I've ever met in my life, but he
I
really was trying.
That sounds kind of sad. Do I sound that way? Do I sound sad?
You don't sound sad when you say that. You know, it's
okay.
You know, it was something like you win some, you lose most. That's sad. But sometimes that's also truth. So, anyways, comment time. So first comment here. Koala Bear Khan says, by the way, no guest cameo. Janet doesn't count. Is anyone surprised NRS didn't squeak in a guest character as DLC? I actually am surprised about this, to be honest, and that's an interesting topic, because I was like, the cameo slot seems like the perfect place to put a guest character. You know, like you're not committing a full character slot to them. As a character that might be something simple. Like I was figuring it'd be something like Chucky or Jigsaw that could be like a little smaller, like Ferris-sized thing.
I remember speculating about that really early on.
Because I don't really know how you would do another guest character as a cameo. They'd have to have some sort of like a weird kind of trait or something to make them like. I feel like most people would be pissed if they had like Michael Myers as like a cameo. It's like, what the hell? He could have been a full character, you know. But like someone like, you know, well, okay. Jigsaw was the guy behind the puppet. I don't know if the puppet had a name. I can't remember, but that's what I just call that.
Yeah, he does. I don't know what it is. Get roasted in the comments or something.
Pedantics or whatever.
Everyone knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, a little dude on a little bicycle.
It's like saying Frankenstein is not the monster, it's the doctor, right? But everyone still calls it Frankenstein, even though Frankenstein's the dude, not the Herman Munster. You know?
Like how many people...
Same thing.
How many people would like picture what the doctor even looked like? You said Dr. Frankenstein, right? I have no idea what this guy even looks like.
I mean, it's just some man with a lunatic fringe in a lab coat, right? It could be anything. It's the monster that's iconic, and that's what matters.
That would actually be an interesting cameo, Frankenstein. That would be kind of cool, kind of unorthodox. Not really something I would expect, but just kind of lumbers onto the screen. That could be fun.
With his arms all extended and like his hands all floppy, like the old.
Yeah, you could act like a wall.
The classic stereotype.
Kind of like that. What's her face's monster in Injustice 2? Just kind of walks forward, except he doesn't attack. He just like pushes the opponent backwards. Kind of like get away from him.
Yeah, I think if NetherRealm got the licensing and paid the money for the, whatever, they'd probably just put that investment to a full-fledged character instead of a cameo. I think a lot more work goes into a real character or, a roster character. And I don't think you want the cameo system too inflated. It's noticeably smaller than the the base roster as far as count, right? So I don't want that to be too big, and I think that it was also their way of kind of including characters that they wouldn't be able to include otherwise, which maybe not, because we've got like Sub-Zero and Scorpion on both the roster and,
right,
and his cameo. So who knows?
They did a good job of like making them unique, like Scorpion to Scorpion, Sub-Zero to Sub-Zero. I feel like they did a good job of making them feel like it's a different Sub-Zero from a different era, or the original Sub-Zero kind of a thing. I'm happy with how they did that. I was skeptical at first because I'm like, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, that's kind of lame, but they made it work.
I mean, we would definitely, I don't think we would see Farah, Mavado, things like that without a sort of cameo system. So it's cool for things like that. Sector and Cyrax until later. And I mean, those are so distinct, right? Like the only thing that's similar is the name, the general motif. But it is cool, like you were just saying, Sub-Zero base roster versus the cameo. They do different, kind of the same things, but presented in different ways or with the different utility, right? They both like freeze, but it's not, really the same.
I'm still surprised that cyber smoke exists in Invasions and is not playable. So we were talking about that yesterday. I was playing some Invasions and yeah, it's just he's got the chest spear and everything. So he's in there.
Well, yeah, but what they can't give roster smoke a chest spear like the trident, the traditional cyber smoke trident or anything. I guess they could, but then when you aren't using the skin, do you lose the move, or is it some weird? Like in MK9, human sector versus cyber sector, the chest missile was different, right? The human skin had like better hitbox because it didn't like come out of the chest; it came out high. I remember hearing Catch Up talk about that.
Yeah,
you run in those sorts of situations.
Yeah, same with Cyrax. His teleport was different. I think his teleport was better in the human form than it was in the robot form. So I mean, they've definitely done things like that before. It wouldn't be like unlike NRS to do that, but I mean, I feel like that's a pretty big move to like.
That would be two-party game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little. You have two different skins for one main character plus cameos. That's pretty crazy.
And would he look weird? He doesn't like. I don't know. Do you think the cyber smoke looks cool in action, or do you think it looks weird, like with the little hunting knife? And
I think it looks cool. I mean, you can definitely see like the eras of like the current smoke in it for sure. But I mean, I think the way that the costume looks and the way it moves around, I think it's super cool. Even if you did it as something like I don't know, could you make it a cameo even? Like just you got the chest spear, I guess. That might be a little crazy, giving everyone a spear.
Man, we need a cameo Triborg the way that Tremor has the variations.
That would be actually crazy.
That would be sick.
That would be super sick. Cameo Triborg. Yeah, you got like sector stuff and Cyrax stuff and smoke stuff.
Cyber Sub-Zero. You get the Cyber Sub-Zero Ice Beam. You get the Cyber Smoke Chest Trident, or like the Fadeaway or something. That's what was so fun about playing Triborg Smoke in MKX was he didn't have armor, but he had invincibility through his, his teleporting, his smoking around.
Smoking around.
Smoking around, vaporizing. What was that move?
I don't even remember. I didn't play that character. I just know it was very annoying and vortex stuff. But that's That's a combination I never really thought of. Triborg as a. I mean, I feel like it would be too late now, obviously, because we already got Cyrax's sector. I feel like having Triborg in there would just be, I don't know, irrelevant, or like completely overshadow both of them. But cool idea. Or if you had like a new Triborg, like you had a Cyber Sub-Zero, like Cyber Smoke, and then like Hydra or something, you know, like some
Cyber Rain.
Yeah, Cyber Rain. There was a Cyber Reptile, I think, in the MK9 Challenge Tower for the PS Vita version, I want to say. That was interesting. Not something I think we'll ever see again, but anyway, this one's crazy.
It should be a cameo that's 3 of those invasions, like how we have Janet Cage, who was basically one of these, mashup invasion sort of characters. And I don't know why it got mentioned, that comment about her being like, she's not a guest, right? She's not from any other franchise or anything. I think I understand like where he's going there, but
it's a new character. I mean, new guest. Right. I mean, I can see kind of
Madame Beau's new.
Madame Beau's new. Yeah. I wouldn't consider her a guest. She's from the story, so I mean.
Yeah.
I guess Janet didn't really have any, not really comparable part as Madame Beau. She has her lines or whatever.
What if we got another Tremor type with 3 variations, and the variations are the Johnny Cage Baraka with the sunglasses and the pompadour? No. And then what are the other... There's some really unsettling ones. We were talking about them yesterday. The classic is the Ashra Kano, so bald Ashra Kano. Yeah. And then Quan Chi Molina mashup.
Oh, yeah.
That one's not as bad as I remembered it. I saw it earlier today. There's definitely one more traumatizing out there.
Yeah, I wish I could remember. I just did a bunch of invasions and they're fresh in my head. But I played a Johnny Kang this morning. I don't think I've ever seen that one before, to be honest. It's shadow kick into low fireball, kind of weird. But they got like the tattoos, but the sunglasses, Dude,
the Baraka Cage one is like. I lose my appetite when I see it. Like, it's just, there's something so wrong about it. It's so funny, but just, I don't know. Thinking about it so off-putting for whatever reason.
No, I don't disagree with you for the same reasons. It's a weird mashup that I don't think I ever needed to see, if I'm being honest, but.
It's like fucking Teen Wolf or something is like what it reminds me of.
Teen Wolf. Yeah, he's just missing the blazer, right?
Yeah, something like that. He's the high school Letterman jacket.
All right, so we just went off on a tangent on that one. That was great. I love that for us. We're going to go kind of the opposite direction here. Next comment, Harvey says, good one, guys. When it comes to guests, I think people want more base roster MK characters rather than being brought back. I think NRS does way too many than is necessary. 1 guest per combat pack should be the standard, not half the combat pack. It would have been cool to see Kia, Jataka, and Serena playable and function like Triborg with moves changing dependent on the sister you picked. I love that idea, honestly. What's funny, but we were just bringing up Triborg and then we went into that one. So Harvey's kind of saying the other thing more for the main roster, right? Less guest characters and more MK characters. And I think I definitely agree that, like, especially for the Chaos Reigns combat pack, like 3 guest characters and 3 MK, that's too much in my opinion. That's far too many. And I think we could have, they're not terrible like Conan and T1000, but I think those slots could be better used for other ones. And if Ghostface was the only guest character, I think that would have been a huge win. And I think that pack would have performed a lot better.
I think I just would have been happier if the pack was just, those 4 characters. I don't even need 6. You look at like what other fighting games get like in their season passes for like a year of content, right? And it's like 4 characters and stages and things like that. So I feel like that's just added on. It's NRS doing what NRS does, which is taking something that's a perfectly working concept and then they like cover it in whipped cream and macchiato cherries and shit like that, right? And you're gonna end up with the bellyache, but man, it sure is delicious. Like they just have to go above and beyond, right past the goalpost. Maybe even I feel like that's how they kind of like really miss the mark sometimes, is that they just are like way too ambitious. And I think it's one of those sorts of things. And if they were like, yeah, you're right, we do only need 1 guest character, I don't think that would turn into 5 roster character or 5 MK characters and 1 guest. I think that would turn into 3 MK characters and 1 guest or something, which would be more in line what you're getting in like Street Fighter and Tekken and stuff anyway.
Right.
As long as they keep giving us stages, we've got how many actually, not including the Chaos Reigns, but how many stages have they given us or versions of stages? There's like the Rainy Tea House.
Which I still don't have, by the way. Don't know how you get that one. I have to look into
It's
that.
from Raiden's Invasion season. I think you have to wait for that.
Oh, okay. Hopefully that comes back around.
I don't know. I feel like there's been like 4 or 5, and like including the Floyd ones. So I don't know. And the game's almost 2 years old. It's a year and a half old. I guess just over a year and a half.
It's a lot of content when you really
so
think about it.
that kind of evens out.
Yeah. Yeah. And interesting that they went the route of like taking the stages and like manipulating them rather than like, just giving you a whole bunch of stages. I like the idea of having a couple stages look slightly different here and there, whether like the throne room is a really good example of that, where they can change so drastically depending on the it's almost like giving a stage a skin, it's kind of cool.
It is cool. It's like seeing it from like a different sort of era. That one in particular, what is it called? Is it you just said the throne room, right? You're talking about Sindel's.
Yeah, I feel like everyone knows what the stage I'm talking about, but I also know that's not like the actual name for it. But
those are my favorite. The 2 that they added in Chaos Reigns, the new kind of like nighttime one, and then the wrecked version of that's kind of like on fire, are like my absolute go-to. I'm always in those ones.
I just have to practice in Wuxi Academy. I don't know what it is. It just feels like that's supposed to be the practice range. I don't know. I just always
we need a grid. Why don't we have the pit?
I don't know. It misses a game. Is this the first?
Well, we didn't have an MK11 either.
No, it was in the crypt, but I wouldn't count that.
That doesn't count.
I wouldn't count
we
that.
need a stage to fight on.
Yeah,
and that's the pit. Why did they? I feel like that's so simple and that's like a classic. I feel like that's as much of a trademark to Mortal Kombat as like like that's the first stage fatality.
Yeah, it is.
It's an icon.
And MKX, it was like the most balanced stage because you had like corner interactables on both sides, 2 throwing interactables, 2 jumping interactables.
It was symmetrical.
Yeah, like it all made sense. It was like outside of the actual practice stage itself, it was the practice stage. It was a good practice stage. So
that's probably my favorite MKX stage.
Me too.
I would say.
Yeah, me too. When I think of MKX, that's the stage that I think of right away.
Practice mode stage,
Pretty much. So it's interesting that it's missed 2 games now. It would be such an interesting thing to put into this game too. I don't know. That's maybe they have plans for that. Maybe we're speaking too soon. Who knows? But anyways, I agree with your guest character thing. I'm 1 per pack. Let's do it that way. I felt like that worked good in the past. Keep it going.
Yeah, and we've mentioned before, right? Like they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to ideas for this. Not just ideas, but ideas that they can actually get the licensing for and all of that sort of stuff. We're definitely the guest characters are not as exciting as they were in MKX, that's for sure. At least to me.
So I feel like something must have happened there because there's no way that they had T1000 in a game that could like they could have had him with the Terminator. That would make so much more sense. The same way that they did it in MKX with like Alien versus Predator and Leatherface versus
They're going,
Jason.
hey, okay, we need a 3rd character for the second combat pack. And so they're looking at a list of WB properties, whether it's movies or, like whatever it is, or things that they can get their hands on or, that they have like access to.
Yeah.
I'm sure probably like something like that. I don't know.
A catalog of characters they could use.
But, people like the character and they obviously... This is not to diminish the work they put into actual character design and, the way they look as far as like, their frame data, their game plan, the kind of special moves they gave him. Like they knocked it out of the park. Like,
totally.
It's like Ghostface level stuff. I feel like the enjoyment level people are getting from him.
Yeah, totally. I definitely see that. And maybe someone had a vision and they just had to kind of wait a while for these visions. Like, man, I really want to put Conan in the game. I think we could make him super cool, and like they did eventually.
Or they're looking at one of those lists and they're like, oh, T1000. They're like, T1000? They're like, look, think of like the liquid metal sort of stuff. And this is like a good opportunity for us to do things like we did in MK11 when we had Kotal Khan transform into a jaguar, like using our new technology and stuff. And, you know, that's kind of a wink, wink precursor to like, oh, yeah, you missed Beast Boy in the last game. Highly requested character. We just didn't really have the, you know, way to kind of do that sort of stuff well in our engine. But we're working on it, right? To find opportunities to do that stuff. So think about it that way. So what is that a precursor to?
I've had that theory for quite some time that that they really wanted to do Beast Boy and Injustice, but they just didn't quite have that technology. So like Kotal Khan was a perfect like chance for them to be like, okay, let's play around with turning a character into some beasts and see if we can make it look smooth and cool and that kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, they were talking about like with Spawn and MK11, they're like thankful they finally got the rights to do that like in the perfect era, because now like they couldn't have done the cape stuff in any earlier game, so it would have been weird, right? Like, wasn't Spawn in Soul Calibur 2?
Was
he against characters?
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, so just the mechanics and how to just deal with the cape, the animations, and all that sort of stuff.
And they made
it was
him
not something
so
they had any earlier than the MK11 era.
He would have looked so janky in MK9, even MKX, like.
Oh my God.
Even going back to MKX a couple days ago, or I guess it was Monday or whatever, we've come a long way since that game. That game does not look that great compared to the newest ones, so I can only imagine what cape physics would have looked like there. So,
right.
Anyways, good comment. Agree with you. Hopefully they go that route moving forward, but we'll see. We have to see what they decide. Final comment here. Pablo Blart says, would genuinely love and appreciate you speaking on how you're able to balance playing games, working, and making content on top of being a dad. You make it seem so easy, and I could use any advice you have to share. I love this comment a lot because it has not been an easy struggle, and YouTube is very unforgiving. Like, if you take a break for any certain amount of time, you will feel it right away. You are kind of shunned from the algorithm. You know, nothing's getting going unless people are searching for your old videos, kind of a thing. And yeah, you have to stay on top of it, unfortunately. And you have to find your own schedule that works for you. You know, about probably 10 years ago now, which was pretty close around the time that I started doing YouTube stuff full time, I switch jobs. I found a job where the hours were a little bit better for me, because before I was working from like 11 to 7:30 or something like that, and it just, my entire day was taken up, you know, and then coming home and trying to make content or whatever. So then when the job came up that was the latest I would ever work was 5:30, and that was perfect. Gave me the time to come home and you know, get dinner ready and stuff like that, and still had a couple hours to make content. As far as actually like competing and getting better, something I've said for years is you don't need a lot of time, but you need to make sure that you're making the best use of your time when you actually get it. Because you can be farting around playing somebody for 4 to 5 hours and maybe not learning anything, whether you could be going in a set playing for like an hour with somebody who's kicking your butt but talking to you about like all the stuff you're doing wrong and helping you, and learn way more in that 1 hour than you would have in 4 hours with, say, you're just winning the whole time kind of a thing.
Right. Or even how you practice. An hour in practice mode could be completely different if you're just in there practicing combos, you know, and that's not going to...
Yeah, I mean,
that's enforcing your muscle memory, but you could be actually practicing like 3 or 4 things at the same time. Like you create these sequences, right, where you get to practice your combo, but you earn it through a punish first, and you get the punish through setting something up. So you're, you know, practicing the entire sequence, and you'd be astounded about how that exact sequence will play out in a match, you know? And it's just burned into your muscle memory.
Yeah, and especially with the ability to record opponents, like that's huge. I use that a lot. I was just using that earlier today. I've been using that a lot to practice the learning all the cameo stuff with Quan Chi lately that I've been going through. So that's super duper helpful in knowing like what you could record and whatnot. So I think the best thing is like using your time to like kind of using your time effectively, I guess, is it seems like such a generic thing to say, but like the hard part of that is learning what exactly that looks like. And like understanding, am I using my time? Because some maybe you don't even know you're not using. Like maybe you don't understand that like you're trying to get this optimal combo, and you work for 2 hours trying to perfect this combo and land it like one time, and then you finally got it, like, yes. But it's a combo that you would never realistically want to hit in a match. So, like, why would you spend that much time?
You don't know what you don't know. And, you know, it's good to play people, and that's why they say play people that are better than you, people that you can learn from, you know, people that can humble you. And kind of like, I can't even tell you how many times I've been like, okay, I literally don't understand what the fuck is happening right now. Like, I feel like there's a piece that is missing from like that everybody understands except for me. And I've had like people kind of like, okay, and, you know, break some things down. And this isn't always Mortal Kombat, it's, you know, Street Fighter or whatever, but
yeah,
you know, keep good company, have good training partners.
You
what about life balance? I feel like the comment was like alluding a lot to like life balance, like,
yeah, so that's when
staying
like,
consistent with the content, staying good at the game, but also like raising a kid, making sure he's fed and he, you know, isn't getting anybody pregnant and he's going to school.
Yeah. Oh man, 10 years has been such a scope of being a parent and doing this at the same time. So like making sure that you're prioritizing things is like key. And make sure like, you know, make sure that is it impeding my work? Am I spending too much time doing this to when it's actually affecting my day job? Am I neglecting the kid? That kind of a thing. So I got to make sure that, you know, doing parenting and my work stuff is 100% first. And then I fit content and stuff in later. And there's times in my kid's life where sometimes content just didn't happen because he has needs that just take up most of the day, and I just can't get content out otherwise. Or I found myself staying up till 11, 12 at night when I had to work at 8 the next morning, and that was affecting the job. So at the end of the day, I had to cut the content. Maybe I make it up on my day off, something like that, you know? And it's been interesting now because now that my kid's a teenager, it's just like he's off with his friends like all the time. He's got a little girlfriend now too, so it's like, you know, just make sure you're home by this time. I'll have food on the table for you. Have fun. So,
now you're a neglected parent.
Exactly. Yeah, you go for, you know, worrying about going one way. Like, hey, wait, don't you want to hang out like a little bit? So it's been funny that way. So now I've kind of made up a little schedule where like I come home from work, make some dinner. If not around, I'll stream, which he usually isn't around. I'll stream, and then, you know, upload some highlights to YouTube. Bing, bong, 2 things done. Do a little bit of training before bed, and reset for the next day. So I've come up with my own little schedule that works around my priorities, but you know, it's a fluid thing. It changes as time goes on, and as you know, life happens. Different situations are going to happen. So I don't know. That's my advice, is just, you know, prioritizing everything and making sure that your schedules are always complementing each other as best they can, you know. Maybe a small hindrance here and there as long as it's not too big, and then as far as the actual improving, I'm not really at like pro tournament level anymore like I used to. But just make sure that, you know, you're using your time as effectively as you can. I've been doing this for 20 years, so it's easy for me to just know what I should be working on and like see something and I'm like, hey, I need to lab that. And what's going on there? I need to lab that. And sometimes I'm bad on it and I never do. Like Scorpion's teleport. Yeah. I always say, oh, I need to understand how that works. I always get hit by it. And then I just never do. So
play a lot of games. Like, you need to have exposure to a lot of situations to know what to lab against and things too.
And try different things too. You know, like if you're in a situation that you just keep getting beat out of, try something that you don't think is going to work. Just be like, I'm just going to see what happens when I do this, you know, because you might be surprised what actually happens. Or you're not. You're like, all right, well, I just got slapped around there. But like, that's when like playing games with friends and like training partners and stuff is like super duper important. Like it's low stakes. You're both there to learn and help each other out. And we got a community you can join. People are looking in games for there all the time through the Bonehawks there in the Patreon. So it's just having a good group of people is super important because like you only learn so much from playing Combat League. You know, I learned a lot about Noob playing against Hater yesterday in our set. You know.
Yeah, we played a bunch of games yesterday.
It's like a first to 30.
I learned a bunch about Quan too. Quan with the bad cameo is way easier than that Shujinkydink bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you were even pointing out stuff that I was doing. Like you mentioned that like right off the bat, I upblocked the overhead once and just never did it again.
Got hit literally every single time. And
Yeah.
I risked my life every single time, too.
But I mean, this is
If you
working.
upblock that overhead, I'm dead, man.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. You were mixing that up good. Every time he has this set up in the corner with Noob and Frost, and as soon as I get to the corner, I see this knockdown. Haters in the mic. What time is it? It's party time.
It's party time. Oh, yeah.
And then, so he hits me with the low into the Frost Bomb the first couple times. Then he hits me with the overhead into it, and I'm just like kind of stoic, right? Like, so that's a 3-way guess, huh?
Yeah.
Hater just starts laughing. He's like, oh, yep.
It's the classic. It's what I look for in my cameos. It's definitely the pick, because that's what Melina Sector is, too. And also what Sector Frost is in the corner. If you can get something off, if you have enough time to mix somebody up with a low, an overhead, or a throw in the same setup. So maybe not Melina Sector. She has to do like a far missile. She has to like hard commit to a far missile because she's going to shove them into it.
Right.
But this Frost Orb stuff, right? It all, it's too fun. But
it's so intimidating too when you're just sitting there and all the orbs like slowly flying towards you. It's like, okay, I gotta try and
right. You pick up the team and you have an idea, and it's like, this looks like it works. I've labbed it. It seems like it works, but like we were just saying, you have to go out and play games, like play a billion games and see how people try to squirm into it. What happens when they over-respect it? What happens when they jump out of it? Like, there was probably 3 or 4 things that people were using against me to get out of it that I didn't even realize were even possible. So I have to go back and like, okay, I actually am doing the orb too late. I'm hit the ground way earlier than that. And I can do it early. And now it's beating all these options that were beating me. So, it's basically the only guess that I have is whether I'm going to try to block armor, or are you trying to like wake up with a down 2 or something, or whether I'm going to go for, throw, overhead, or low. And sometimes I have enough time to block for a second in anticipation of those, react to you not doing anything, and still throw you into it. That's the best part. And I don't care how scaled that combo is, because it vortexes into itself. And it's just worth it. I feel like that's psychological damage.
Yeah, that's a big thing too, is that psychological damage of just being worried about something on the screen, or coming at you, or possibilities of, oh my god, this thing's this coming, that means something else is coming next. Like, what's gonna happen?
Dude, I feel like it sucks so bad trying to like having anxiety about like, okay, lower overhead, and it's the first hit, right? You can't really fuzzy it, but you still are kind of like trying to react to what they're doing, and they just throw you because, you're blocking because you're trying to block lower overhead. And yeah, anyway.
Yeah, that
sucks.
It does suck. It sucks very much. One thing that I've been trying to improve on myself, and I kind of started using it at the end of our set, was that down 2 cancel. And if you're not using that yet, that's such a good tool to close things out. So if you didn't know, by this point, I'm sure you do know, but you can cancel the down 2 into a jump by using down or up, forward, and then the whatever your meter burn button is, and then you get you're armored on your jump, so that'll negate things like, say, Baraka tries to do the blade charge, Kano Naz behind it, down 2 punish the charge. Your armor will eat up the knives. Into the air you go to continue your combo. It's an unscaled combo, and it's an unbreakable combo. But it's 2 bars of meter, so you have to be kind of aware of that. So I've been trying to use that
That's
more.
a super fair trade-off. For unbreakable and unscaled, I think that's more than generous.
100%. Yeah, I think I hit the down 2 into jump 2-1 into forward 4 fatal blow, I think, and I got like 480 damage out of it or something.
Yeah.
So it was pretty crazy.
And I had the bar to break.
You did.
And couldn't.
You just had to sit there and watch that whole sequence happen.
Yeah. That's what you do in the Quan matchup anyway, right? With that portal out. Like,
that's true.
I'm never breaking. I'm just spend my bar while I have it.
I really need to start using
or
that
like while I
portal more.
can.
But yeah, it's been something that I've been kind of working on myself. So I know that you haven't really been playing as much lately, Hater, but it's still your setups are still crispy. They're crispy.
I feel like they have to be because my neutral's so awful and my patience and stuff. I just have to try to get you to the corner, and then that's just a win condition.
Yeah.
And that's I just can't invest the time. that I would need to like be really crispy at this game, and I just feel like I don't have good mental acumen for fighting games in general. I'm the kind of player that kind of like falls apart. I get really anxious. Sometimes I'm like really eerily patient, and I surprise like even me. But that's I don't know. I'm a little bit too frantic to be a solid fighting game player. You
kind of always got to be doing something.
Yeah, or challenging something. I never want to hold anything. Because half of it's like I don't want to hold it, and half of it is I don't believe that what you're doing is real, so I'm just trying to beat it. And it's like, nope, okay, that worked, okay. But I have like 3 other options that I could try, and and then, okay, well, what if I was just late the first time? Okay, what if they were late? Next thing I know, that's, turns into like 30 unnecessary interactions of me trying to get out of something that I can't. But still won't stop me from trying.
Well, hey, I praise you, hater, for that. So you did manage to squirm out of a few of my armor portal corner setups there by doing just that. So sometimes it works. Never give up on the hope.
Yeah, that armor, dude. I literally was just waking up buttons with Noobs 212 into Ice Carpet, and that just blew right through your armor, and I had enough time to like jump over your head and just get out of the portal altogether. I kind of lost my combo, but definitely got out of the situation just by mashing on that on wake up. Whatever it is about that string. I know that some characters can beat that fairly consistently. We talked about that once, right? What is it that allows characters to kind of just like blow through that so easily while others are just kind of like stuck there?
Well, there is a little bit of the startup on the portal. So like if you're a character with like super quick, like Sector, for example, like her 1-1, like if she just wakes up with 1-1, that it'll usually be enough to maybe not beat the armor, but it'll hit Quan, second hit will absorb the armor, and then now he's got to wait for the armor to recharge again. So there's like little things like that. You can do things like poke into your own armor, depending on the character that you're at. That may or may not be a good idea. That's when I tell that somebody really knows what they're doing against Quan Chi, when they use that against me, because like they're using a bar to get out of that situation. So it's like, okay, all right, you've made that calculated risk. I see it with Johnny Cage down 1 shadow kick. Just as soon as they can, as soon as they know that your turn is over and they're going to try and steal another one, down 1 shadow kick. It's
I mean, do you feel like that's an easy bait when people start doing that?
Yeah, kind of, but then you're kind of losing your pressure of what you're supposed to be doing anyways. So it's kind of like...
And then when they don't do it, then they just fucking throw you into the corner
yeah,
or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So it's like, it is like it's a weird game to play. I really feel like Quan Chi himself has to really outplay you in those situations. Just throwing armor on the screen isn't like necessarily a win button. It is annoying, like similar to like the Cyrax set play that is just like annoying to fight against because you got to respect this thing for however long it's on the screen for. But there is counterplay and there's way around it. And at the end of the day, Quan Chi's buttons are pretty sad. So he definitely relies heavy on a cameo to try and help open some people up if you're not too familiar with the strings anyways. So
you want to hear my hot take?
I do want to hear your hot take.
I think the armor portal is way scarier mid-screen against Quans that are like really aggressive. Like, not just armor portal into sky drop, but like really make a point. Like we've talked about this before, right? Where that's kind of like the primary use of the meters for the armor portal, just to pin you down mid-screen and always armored, and you try to get back and they're standing 4. You try to move forward and you hit the forward 2 or a 1-3 or like whatever it is, and the armor's there to kind of like back up what he's doing. Depending
right.
however whatever cameo it has and how he's converting. That is some scary shit. Like not quite rush down Quan, but it is kind of a rush down game plan. It's a different sort of rush down, but it's definitely like not a keep away, but where he kind of just like tries to pin you down in place no matter where you are on the screen. Could be the corner or could be like mid screen, but with that standing 4 and the down forward 4, like whatever else he's got, anything to keep you from just controlling that space, putting in that he doesn't want you right up on his nuts, and he doesn't want you so far away that his stand 4 isn't comboing into stuff,
Yeah. Controlling
dude,
that
space scares the shit out of me.
It was kind of funny actually. At one point when we were playing yesterday, can't remember I think you had me in the corner and I put out the armor portal, and then you just immediately backed off. And then we had a situation later where like you had me against the corner, but also against the frost wall, and then I threw up my armor portal, and you were just kind of, wait a minute, fuck you, where am I supposed to go?
Oh, right.
This is so. I think stuff like that, where it's like used to like stifle movement, and that's kind of a hater commented on this a little while ago on one of my videos, where sometimes when I'm cornered, I'll just wake up with the armor portal, and then people are like, okay, well, I'm gonna back off, and I'm like, okay, sweet, I'm gonna throw up the purple one and start throwing stuff at you because that's what I want to do anyways. So,
Right. No, and that is gonna like totally like ruins your plans, and that's a sign of like, you know, if you are a quant player and you see people aren't backing off, like I'm sure because you're, you know, playing a matchup, especially against somebody that you don't know, or even sometimes like when you are, right, it's just information gathering. And like what's going on in your head, I guess, as a quant player when you see people like you put out an armor portal and then they just start playing their long game, right? Or like their first priority is just getting the fuck out of there. Or people that just are still just autopiloting into it. How does that change your game plan? Like when they back off, you do the purple and just start zoning?
yeah, lately, actually, what I've been doing is I've been kind of trying to put, since the buffs anyway, I've been trying to put the enhanced bone dome behind them. Kind of an expensive setup because it's like armor portal, bar, enhanced bone dome, bar. But I mean, you're either going to walk forward into the armor portal or back into the bone dome. So you're either giving me armor or you're doing damage over time. So take one.
Dude,
you know?
I feel like matches like in this meta right now are like so volatile that it's totally worth it. Spend your 2 bars, right? Get your game going. It's all about momentum, and like even if you're just killing somebody 200 damage at a time because you keep creating advantageous situations for yourself, especially if, you know, they're not used to being in them and then they challenge them and get punished for it because, you know, you know the situations, you've put people in them plenty of times, right?
Oh yeah.
I think it's absolutely worth it just to dump your resources to, I mean, don't go spending a full cameo and 2 bars on 300 damage or something, right? Unless you're getting like a really good situation out of that, but or killing somebody.
I wanted to ask you a question about that, actually, Hater. Do you think that 400 damage meterless for full cameo bars do you think that's good damage, or is that too expensive?
What cameo? How long am I waiting for the cameo to come back?
Shujinko. You have to charge him.
Oh, Shujinko, so you can just manually charge him? Yes, I think that's absolutely okay damage.
I was messing
So you're
around.
talking about combo, like what, hit confirming into a crumple and then using your full cameo?
Yeah, or hit confirming into like a launching steel, into the crumpled, into whatever ender kind of a thing. Because I was messing around with...
And there's a sector that's attached to Shujinko?
No, so the one I was messing around with today, believe it or not, was Li Mei. So I was using Li Mei Shujinko.
Okay.
And I was having problems because Shujinko launches, but her enhanced projectile, which she needs for her thing, also launches. And I was having problems getting those two to mesh together, but then I realized, wait a minute, if I use Shujinko as a launcher, then she doesn't need to use her meter on that. And I was getting
exactly
like 399, 3 something like that, around that. Even bigger in certain characters, obviously, but like, you know, that allows her to save her meter for other things, and she still gets decent damage.
Like her EX reversal to punish 7 framers, even if she only just punishes that, right? She doesn't get a combo with Shujinko, but it's still at least something.
Yeah. So I was just messing around with that
and
today.
Armor.
I was admiring her new outfit yesterday, and I was looking at her today. I was like, maybe it's time I finally pick this character up and see if I can make her work. You know, and I don't
know what would be good damage for Li Mei. I feel like she hits like a truck. So I think a Li Mei player may need to tell you whether or not that's but if you're not spending bar because you need your bar for breaker and you need it for armor, Li Mei will use it to like punish pokes. And then who knows when you'll need a EX projectile, you know, surprise motherfucker. You know.
Yeah,
no, you know, or Shujinko's not available or something. But I think in general, we've talked about this before, right? Like in any character, let's just say universally, like I feel like the law of averages, at least in my mind, when I go into practice mode with a character for the first time, what I expect off of a standing 1 starter, meterless, I better be damn close to 300, if not at like, say, like 310 or something.
right.
If I'm spending a bar of meter, I better be really close to 400 damage, if not over 400 damage. And if I'm adding cameo into that, I guess it depends on the cameo because some scale, right? It's
Right.
about opportunity and all that. But that's kind of like my baseline. And from throws, normal throws, 110 damage, like your normal back throw. If a cameo, let's say you're using Movado, so you need to use the entire cameo to use the trap to get a throw combo. If that throw combo is doing like 170 to 190, maybe even breaking 200, absolutely worth it. If that throw combo is doing like 130, no. 140, I don't. I mean, if
Right.
it kills, I think that almost anything is worth it. But otherwise, it's just like a regular throw combo. But if you're consistently, so like Melina Sector, the throw combo that takes full cameo meter, she can spend a bar to get like 250 or 260 or whatever, which I think is really good for a throw. Like even using my full cameo in a bar off of a throw, especially a character that's kind of striky throw like her.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
really good.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I was playing some Towers of Time. I'm trying to find Floyd here. I spent all morning. I didn't find him, which was annoying. But
Same.
I was trying to doing all the Towers of Time challenges or whatever, and I was doing the brutality ones. I was like, I might as well level up a character that I need to anyways, and that's when I started messing around with Lee May and kind of just seeing what those combo paths would look like. I don't think they're optimized yet, but I mean, even if they're not optimized, I'm still getting like close to 400 meterless. I think there's some potential there. So we might try it out.
Nice. That would be cool to see you playing Lee May after all this time.
I know. I think now that they've toned down, like right off release, when like every second hit she was saying some stupid line, I was so annoyed. Now they've toned
You're
that down
under arrest or whatever bullshit that she was saying.
yeah, all that. I think I could maybe handle her a little bit more now. And the more that I kind of play
Does she
around
not
with
say
her,
that shit?
She still does, but it's not nearly as much. It's like maybe once or twice a game, maybe. And then she'll have her lame brutality quotes or whatever it is, but prison's too good for you.
They really did double down on this whole like police officer sort of thing for her and like made it like basically her entire identity when they keep putting lines like that in there. But I will say she's got probably my favorite. She's got really good brutalities, and that doesn't go into like winning matches or whatever, but it's definitely like the cherry on top. Good brutals are nice to have, and her back forward 4 brutal is one of my most favorite in the game, and the lamp brutality is definitely like top 5 for like the funny ones.
Yeah, it definitely. I was trying to hit that all morning. I just couldn't quite. It's hard to hit that against the AI, but I'm sure I'll get it sometime soon. I hit all the other ones though, and I think one of my favorite ones was the one off of her like 4-hit string, 4 3 2 1. I think it is
the one with the little firework in it.
Yeah, and it kind of blows you up. It's kind of cool. And her second fatality is super dope. I haven't seen that in such a long time. I forgot about that. She like inserts you with the friggin' dragon, and he comes out, and then she's like petting him when she's like got your like head in its mouth. I don't know. It's super cool. Kind of forgot about that.
I remember that.
I'll have to show you. It's really one of
my.
I'm
trying to think of what her second fatality is. I probably have seen it.
I don't remember ever seeing it. I'm sure at this point I have seen it at some point, but I couldn't remember when I first saw it this morning. I was like, oh, that's super cool. What the hell? Where's that been all my life? So you might see me journeying around in a combat league, throwing that out at a couple people. You never know.
Being super toxic.
Hella toxic. It's a cool fatality. I don't think I've even officially unlocked it yet. I just used an easy fatality and let me do it. So scrub tactics over here. I also went through invasions yesterday. I 100% every Mesa. Did I pronounce it? Is it Mesa or Mesa?
Mesa.
Mesa. Okay. I can never remember that. I never say it to anyone else.
The E is pronounced like an A. The E is an A and the A is an A. Mesa.
It was a fun experience for me this time. Yeah, and Hader gave me the tech for the block breaker ones, which I absolutely despise. So you get General Shao, and you just put the axe on the ground, and whenever that bomb just lies on the ground, you just smack the axe full screen, knocks it up, gets it started again.
Whether you're looking at it or not, it hits everywhere. and you get to avoid those dumbass buzzsaws.
Yeah, that was a nice quality of life change they put in this time. Was the buzzsaw only goes half the screen? Welcome change. That was so annoying. The last one on the last season was like full screen. You got them flying through the air, and it's like this is just too much bullshit.
And I use Xiao for that too. That's when I was trying to figure out how to deal with those in the least annoying way, and so I was like workshopping a bunch of stuff. I just had ideas, and Xiao was like the third thing that I tried. But it was like, I can get 3 of these projectiles before I have to neutral jump another buzzsaw, and then I got to wait for it to come back, jump it again, throw an axe down, and then I get 3 more projectiles, and then rinse and repeat.
Right.
Which is kind of like what they want. It's just not, bro. It's not fun.
I mean,
I don't really like their mini games.
It's an extreme for me. It's like I either really enjoy them or I don't like it at all. It's just they can't seem to find a balance there that's fun. Like the original Block Breaker with like no buzzsaws or anything, that was fun. I enjoyed that. It was a nice little callback. Wasn't too challenging. It was pretty easy to be honest, but like it was a fun something original and new. Then they got to go and add all these buzzsaw things to it, and it's like, okay, well, this was cool the first time I saw it. Now I'm just annoyed by this.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't even think it needs saws. Just the time limit, and if you run out of time, it's like test your might, where somebody kills you or you just explode.
Yeah, could be like that too. Some of the. Do you even try the survive ones, or do you just skip right past it?
I skip right past them.
Some of them are fun. Some of them are, it's like there's no way you can lose. Like it's just collect coins. You get collect coins. The longer you go, and there's fireballs everywhere, and just when you die, it's over. It's like, okay, well, that was fairly easy. There's one where you're sliding around on ice trying to punch rocks coming down, so that was kind of fun. A little bit infuriating at first until I realized I put no points into health. So then I just picked a character I hadn't used yet, just full health, and just finish.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. Just go in there with somebody I hadn't used, and every point into health, and you just tank it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's cool that they're kind of creating ways for you to use different characters in it. I guess it's not really meant to be grinding one character through, even though that's what I do every time for the most part.
Yeah, and they force you onto characters for specific things, right? Specific challenges or whatever, or you need it for the glue if you want the chest, or you even need to do like one of those clues to even progress on one of those maces. I think that might be the first time I've seen it. Where it's like actually in the main path having to do a clue. Maybe it was just the direction that I took, but definitely didn't lead to a chest. It led to some stairs that connected to a bunch of other nodes. So Interesting.
This was one of the first times that I had seen the actual key item on an optional node, I think. In the village, the second one, the Madame Beau's weapon of mass destruction. It was like on an optional tab, and I totally missed it. I'm like, I went through all of this. Where is it? And then I went back and completed this one random one. It's like, oh, that's weird that they put that there, but okay.
Yep.
It wasn't a super hard one.
Yeah, there's a lot of them are optional. All those towers, they're not mandatory to progress and stuff, but that's where your key's hiding. I would say every mesa I get to the very end and don't have the key, and I have to backtrack and go find it. I just looked that shit up on Combat Cup. They release a video every season with bookmarks and stuff, and at the very beginning is like a picture of the map, and everything's got letters and numbers that correlates to what skin you're gonna get. So that's how I know what keys where I'm gonna spend my keys and how many keys I'm gonna need and things too for the chests. Yeah,
I finished all of them, and I still have, I think, like 7 keys in my inventory. So they are definitely. There's way more keys this time, but I mean, I try and do every single node. Like I said, I 100% everything. I'll just stop. I've never used the Forge, I don't think, like once, maybe like in season 2 or something, but like, I just go and I click on it, I open it up just so it acknowledges that I've opened that node, and then I just move on. I don't even bother with that.
Because that's how you fast travel. Did you know that?
Yeah, you try to go to the Forge or whatever. I've never used that either, really.
Or the merchant, and I think there's 2 on every mesa, and so if you go to it if you select the same thing twice, it takes you to the other one.
I'm so glad that they put the keys in a different inventory slot. That was so annoying, having to go and buy like 3 keys and then just wait for it to refresh so you could buy more. That was dumb.
I did notice this season my entire inventory, all generous 5 slots of this inventory have us slogging through all of this shit. I think they just want you to use it, right? It's there to use, and that's why they took the keys away. They don't want people sitting on stuff. You use it, use it. I have 5 of those items that make you immune to projectiles, so like it's just giving them out like candy. And I'm just doing the main path, right? I'm not doing any optional stuff. So this is just stuff I'm getting passively while doing whatever the minimum requirements are. And so I think they've listened to people's complaints about some of these, boss battles that they have.
Yeah, I wonder.
Because you use your item and then you lose anyway, right? The item wears off for whatever reason, depends what it is. And then you lose on the last round and now your item's gone.
Yeah, and you have to start all over again without the item, without
Yeah.
the little glimmer of hope that you had to begin with. I know which one you're talking about, that little fuzzball thing that's in my inventory. I had like 5 of them too at one point, and I think I used them twice. Once there was no projectiles. I think it was like I don't remember what the map was. Second one was a rain map, I think, and it was called It Pours, so I was like, oh, that's probably got some stuff on it, and had a little bit, but not much. But yeah, I mean, I think the more casual crowd would definitely appreciate the projectile immunity. I don't really care that much, but there are some times when it gets like annoying, like when the one Raiden map where he's just like freaking exploding and he's like, you're stuck full screen, there's nothing you can do. Like, I don't even know if those count as projectiles, but
Yeah, they're not as punishing as they were like in the earlier seasons before they kind of like changed everything and kind of like toned it down. So I don't even like that ship has sailed. I needed those way back then. So they made the bosses weaker and then gave us all this stuff to counter it where you don't even need the stuff anymore because now it's, manageable. It was really insufferable. Those first couple seasons, like those survive nodes and stuff that were like mandatory. You had to do in order to like to progress and stuff. Man, what a nightmare.
Yeah, that mode has evolved so much over the last year and a half. It's crazy. There's lots of quality of life stuff in there now. It's a lot more fun to play than definitely the early seasons, but even like each season seems to improve upon itself a little bit, and then they make little missteps along the way, and then they always come out better. I find, for the most part. Even the maps now, I use the map just to pause and have a map you can look at and be like, okay, I haven't been to that chest yet. Let me follow the pathing to get there. Combat Cup does a good job of detailing that a little bit more than what NRS gives you, but it is still better to have that in game instead of being like, okay, now I have to go over, search this up, and try and find where's this chest at,
Right.
So it's just little things like that. I've been really enjoying them. I actually missed 100%ing it last season because there was like 2 Johnny Cage coin things that I'd spent and I didn't realize that you can earn them by doing Towers of Time stuff, so I just kind of ignored it. But now I've been doing Towers of Time stuff and I have more Cage coins. I can go out and get more, what is it, seasonal currency or shrine currency that I'll probably never use, so hopefully they come up with something for that where I can actually use all that and it just doesn't continue to grow in my inventory.
I heard yesterday that Ed Boon posted something on Instagram.
Oh.
So I went there, and do you know what it is?
Is it his modeling?
He's teasing. He's teasing maybe a next game. I don't know. He's talking. It says something about missing the arcades. Does anyone miss the arcades like me? Something like that, right? But the photograph is an arcade cabinet of Injustice 2.
Oh, that's spicy. No, I didn't know that. That's crazy. So Injustice 3, like, incoming?
I don't know.
That's huge. Like, that's toying with a lot of people's emotions if you're not serious about that.
Old Maximilian dude's video came up in my algorithm yesterday, and I hadn't heard anything about it. So I watched it, and the first, 2 minutes was him was like, I don't want a fucking Injustice 3. Injustice 2 was so broke. That was that zoning, that whatever. He's like, but it sucks because it had, such fun, good characters, but, the way the game works, the way to play lame and all the projectiles and things like that. Lame with a capital L, right? Playing,
right.
Defensively. But yeah. So do you think that is Injustice 3? He was saying maybe it's maybe not Injustice 3, but MK versus DC.
I feel like ever since Injustice came out, we've always been saying that. Every time we feel a new game is on the horizon, it's like, oh, it's MK versus DC. And at this point, I just don't think it's happening.
Like we were
again.
thinking MK versus Marvel leading up to MK1's announcement, right? And that was a lot of the stuff that was getting thrown out. I don't want a versus game because all it does is split the roster size in half. You don't get any cool, unique characters. It's just all the main characters. If they do MK versus DC, it's just going to be Scorpion and Sub-Zero and Raiden and Liu Kang and Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, you know, just the fucking Justice League and the core MK roster with maybe a few little surprises or something. I don't like that.
Yeah, like even in Justice 1, there was so many characters I had never heard about before, not being a huge, comic book guy like Killer Frost, no idea. Solomon Grundy, no idea. Justice 2, same thing. Enchantress,
even
no idea.
Raven, right? Because Teen Titans wasn't on back then. That's how everyone knows her. When did Teen Titans start?
I am the wrong guy to ask, but you're right. I didn't know who Raven was either. So I mean, there's all these characters that I'm being introduced to. So it's I don't know, it's cool, and I liked them. Like Firestorm, I had no idea who he is, but I ended up maining him just because I liked his gameplay, and then I learned a little bit about him. And then
I knew who he was because I watched Legends of Tomorrow.
I've never even heard of that before. That's why I think of a frozen Statue of Liberty when I hear that. I don't know why. I think that's
also the Atom. You know, Dr. Palmer that the Atom's always talking about. That version of the Atom's in Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay, maybe I'll have to look into that. I'm assuming there's not a show of some sort.
It's one of those CW DC shows like The Flash and the Arrow. It's part of that same universe.
Yeah, okay. I haven't watched any of those. I don't think I haven't watched the CW since Riverdale. Missed that show.
Dang, Flash show's good. Flash show's the best one.
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know much about the Flash, to be honest. Like I know who he is. I think just because I've seen him in the Justice League and stuff like that. But like, I don't know the story behind the actual guy himself.
I was a misguided child, and I grew up thinking that Flash was just like a speedster, and I was like, that's like, okay, so you can move fast. That's pretty cool. I guess, right? But that's no Batman, that's no Spider-Man, that's no Spawn, that's no, all this sort of stuff. But, you start to learn about the Speed Force, going back in time, the way you're manipulating, space and time and all the crazy bullshit that you can do, like from a physics perspective, theoretically, with that sort of speed. That got like really interesting. And the more I looked into it and I started watching this show, Eo Barthon is like one of my favorite, I would say, like comic book supervillains. He is super menacing, like just a fantastic villain, and I hope that if there is an Injustice 3 that he's in it as like a unique character from the Flash, like how you would do like a Frost and a Sub-Zero, like how they did Frost and Sub-Zero in like MK11, right? To Superman, Supergirl, they're kind of the same thing, don't they? Just do the same thing, but they're obviously very different. I would like to see them do something like that with the reverse Flash. That would be super sick. I'd made him.
Yeah, I mean, the roster is something we talk about a lot for Injustice 3, about who would be on there and how you would do it. Yeah, we've gone over that lots. So, I mean, if Injustice 3 is the next game, I welcome it. I would definitely. I had a lot of fun covering Injustice 2, and we got a lot of engagement on the channel and found a lot of people that were trying to learn it. I think knowing what I know now, I think we could have an even more fun time covering Injustice 3. So assuming they don't change it too much, which I don't think they do, that seems to be like that's their legacy thing, right? Like they want to keep that. This is how Injustice plays. It's their
version of a legacy game.
Yeah, back threes, forward threes, meter and roll. I mean, meter and roll.
Not just like movesets, right? Like if you played Superman or Batman in Injustice 1 or Aquaman, like you had to make very minor adjustments to start playing the new version of your character. Catwoman, Black Adam, those ones are maybe a little bit more different than their first ones. I don't know.
Yeah, like some rebalancing, some rethinking. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Black Adam in Injustice 3. I don't feel like he didn't feel like a core roster character to me. He just kind of felt like
it's part of the baddies. And now that franchise, like the movie didn't really take off or anything, right? So yeah, I wouldn't be sad if he wasn't in the next one, especially because he was such a son of a bitch in the other games. Like he was so strong in Injustice 2.
Oh man, yeah.
Like the whole time, the whole game, right? Just a dominant force the entire life of that game.
Big damage. You know, you're kind of forced to block his strings. And if you were on
Tracking
chip,
low projectile.
you're on chip health, forget it. You know, he just whips his balls out and you're done. It's
Yep.
that trait's been a problem since Injustice 1.
Dude, there's some cheap ass traits in that. It's not just him. Him and Scarecrow. And who else has a cheap ass trait?
Adam's trait was really stupid. But that I think some of that was on me because I could never just hold.
But he couldn't
down.
kill you just by standing next to you like those other two.
No, he was cheap in other ways. Batman's trait.
Yeah,
was
it
super
just has
cheap.
like no hitbox.
Yeah, yeah.
Mixing you up with overheads and lows. He has a throw too, right?
I think he does have a throw actually.
Where he like goes into your ear and that like exits the trait if you throw. Is that
so
am I
broken.
misremembering?
Well, that's so broken. I think he's
I
like
don't
in the top 3 from the Necros tier list from what I remember. I think it was him, Batman, and somebody else. I can't remember what the third one was, but
Yeah, so Batman was definitely the top of the tier list from like when the game was alive.
yeah,
Another character that was just strong the entire time.
yeah, he played the game well. He didn't change much. Like most of his strings were the same from Injustice 1. They just made a couple tweaks, and I think he's just the way the game was made. He just played better in it. So, mind you, he was strong in Injustice 1 too. I just don't remember him being super duper top tier. But I would actually be surprised if we. I guess Adam was DLC, right? So I don't think we'll see him again. Same with Starfire. I don't know if we'll see Starfire again. I know she's more popular, but I'd be surprised if she was in Injustice 3. But I'm excited now. I'm gonna go try and search for that post after you let me know and see if.
Just go find him on Instagram. It should be, I don't know if he's posted today, but it's from yesterday, I'm pretty sure. Yesterday or the day before.
All right, I'll have to. He's posting everywhere nowadays. I see him, still on Twitter, on Blue Sky, and now on Instagram. Yep. He's got his own YouTube channel.
And he has his YouTube channel. Yeah.
Ed Boon, the social media influencer. Let's go. I'm here for it. I'm here for that.
So weird because he's posting like official Mortal Kombat stuff on there that's not on the official page. Like he's gone rogue, right? Like, well, if you're not going to let us do this, then I'm just going to fucking do it. That sort of thing, maybe. That's how it's presented to me anyway.
Yeah, I'm just confused of why now. Like, why not like 15 years ago? Why now? I don't get it, but either way, I'm gonna keep an eye out for it. So hopefully more Injustice 3 stuff. Thanks everyone for hanging out for this one. That's going to be the end of it for this week. Don't forget, next week is our 1-year anniversary podcast. We'll have something special there for you. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.